All right, boom. Let's do this. Welcome to Money Talks, all things crypto, with me, your host, Bill Barheit, founder of Abra, coming to you on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, LinkedIn, and I think a couple of other platforms now. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Helps us get some promotional value here to bring Abra to the masses and get those crypto questions answered. So as always, I've got a long list of stuff. Really exciting week. One of the most exciting weeks we've had in a while on many fronts. So, and not just because we're going to talk about Bored Apes. What's a Bored Ape? Well, watch and you will find out. All right, so let's see. What I'm going to do first is get right into a couple of charts. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some other topics around alt season, what we're seeing with institutional money and large whales coming in. Let's see, we've got Ethereum looking at new highs. So let me get right to it. I'm going to start here with my Bitcoin chart. So Mr. Wizard, if we could go to the Bitcoin chart here. So let's see, down here, July 21st, we were at 29,800. And today we've had a clear break, not on a daily close yet, but we're midday and we've had a clear break of 50,000 and we're now right at 50,600. So the bull trend recovery from the pullback continues. I think we're heading to 60,000 over the next 5 weeks. My guess is we'll consolidate a little bit, probably 54, 55K, have a pullback to 40, 59 as the market likes to do. And then unless there's some kind of macro news that fights this, my opinion is it looks good for a move higher up here in this range after a nice pullback. So that would put us probably in the 60s and testing the all-time highs going into October. I still think we've got a great shot at Bitcoin 100K for the end of the year. There's a couple of key changes that I'm seeing, which I want to highlight for you. So, but I'll come back to that in a moment. Let's look at Ethereum. This is super exciting, right? So if you're bullish on Ethereum, like I am, you are really excited about what's happened this week. So let's look at the last 4 days, right? So let's say Monday, Tuesday, we were up 6%, Wednesday, 11%, Thursday down 1%, and Friday up another 5% so far with a few hours to go in the day. So Ethereum has basically gone from the lows of around 1730 to 3970, just shy of 4,000. So what that tells us, that's more than a 2x run up, and we are clearly in a macro bull trend for Ethereum. Now, the other thing we should keep in mind is that Bitcoin dominance is falling. And when Bitcoin dominance falls, that means we're likely in an alt season. Well, guess what? September 1st has come and gone. What does September 1st often mean? Alt season. Alt season comes often on September 1st. So Bitcoin dominance has fallen. That usually is good for altcoins. Here's one of them, Cardano, gone from $1 to basically $3. You should check out our interview. The interview I did with Charles Hoskinson a couple of weeks ago was one of our most watched ever. Not saying it has anything to do with the run up in Cardano. I'm sure it doesn't, but he was awesome, right? So yeah, we're seeing a flag forming on Doge, right? So let me zoom in here a little bit, right? This flag here basically means we're consolidating down, up, probably going to consolidate if the trend continues around 30 cents and then a breakout. So looking very bullish on alts. Let me pick a couple of other victims here. Let's see. So how's Link looking? Yeah, little breakout here on Link. So again, swing highs, right? Not all-time highs, swing highs. Clearly, I would say at least a mini alt season brewing with some huge winners along the way. I've been tracking Solana as a new project. Look at this. Lows in July of $23, and now at $140, and looks like it's going to close with a new daily all-time high. Let's see, how's Wax doing? One of my favorites. Wax had a massive run up last week. One on a daily chart, doubled in one day. Usually that means there's a couple of huge buyers coming in. And now it's flagging here again. Look at this pennant forming right at, let's say 40 cents. So big pullback, but massive run up in the meantime. So I think we're going to see a lot more upside here. Now, if Bitcoin dominance starts to increase again, that's going to tell us that we're going to get a rinse in alts. So as I've always told you, be careful with altcoin trading. It's not something that you want to hold long term unless you know what you're doing, unless you know something about the projects. So be careful. Come in and out. It's okay with a little bit of money, but be very active. Be ready to go to cash. Don't risk what you're not willing to lose. All right. I hold Bitcoin, Ethereum long term. I trade in and out of other things. I keep my Bitcoin and my Ethereum in Abra earning my interest along with a little bit of dollars, and that's it. And I use Abra Trade to get in and out of alts, particularly when we're having this exciting alt season. How is Digibyte doing? So shout out to everyone there. So it hasn't broken out yet. Clearly, it's bounced off the lows, right? So the lows here were about 3.2 cents, and now we're, oh yeah, well, look at that, more than doubled. So again, Digibyte looking pretty good. If we can get a new swing high in the next, I would say 2 weeks, that would be unbelievably bullish for Digibyte. But it looks like it's flirting with the swing low, which it really needs to stay above that to maintain a bullish stance. So again, we don't really focus too much on technicals here from a trading perspective. I'm more interested in the macros in terms of where it's all going long term. And right now the macros are looking really bullish. So we'll stop here with the chart for a moment. We'll come back to that. Okay, so a couple other points I want to make on why my bullish stance is being reaffirmed. All right, and this is important. So let's make sure we get this right. So I think that we've entered a huge accumulation phase within this bull market, and this happened before. All right, basically it happened late last year. All right, so I actually see the market a little bit differently now than I did a few weeks ago. Right, a few weeks ago, I thought we would basically maybe pull back and have a protracted bear market going basically Q2 of next year. Right now, I don't see that. Okay. Right now, it looks like the overall structure of the Bitcoin market is changing. It looks like what we used to refer to as these halvening cycles may be breaking down. And that looks like we're going to have potentially a big bull market going into 2022. Okay. I'll tell you, of course, if I think that's changed, or if it looks like we're reverting to the old structure. But for now, 2022 looks more bullish to me than it did before, right? So again, I think we're heading to 60K, which is the current price target that I have. Whales, long-term investors are definitely accumulating right now. All right. And so we'll see what happens when we get there. Again, this is not buy, sell advice. This is how I look at the market. Clearly, we've got this. You've heard me refer to this idea of a supply shock. And if you're not a subscriber to Willy Woo's newsletter, he refers to this idea of what he calls the Rick Astley's. Remember the song "Never Gonna Give You Up"? Well, those are the long-term holders. And when you look at those Rick Astley's, they are coming in spades. And it's looking like we're in that kind of massive accumulation phase, which precedes a very big run-up. So again, as we move to these strong hands, things are looking very, very bullish. All right. So this is, in my opinion, not a good time to be betting against Bitcoin. Definitely not a good time to be betting against Ethereum. Okay. So I fully expect a whole bunch of shorts to get wrecked. as they often do when we have a big run up, and you don't want to be caught with your shorts down, as they say. And lastly, it looks to me like, this supply shock is going to continue for quite a while. And like I said, that seems to be creating a bit of a squeeze, which is going to push, think of it like a little tube of toothpaste. You squeeze it, boom, it goes up. So that's what the supply shock is doing for us. Right. And we basically look at things in the past to determine the future. And when we've had these supply shocks in the future, they've led to these big run-ups. So let me talk about Ethereum a little bit, and then I want to talk about some Bored Apes. What's a Bored Ape? Well, we're going to get to that in a second. All right. So on the Ethereum front, like I said, new all-time highs, crazy couple of weeks. Yeah, so let me take a look here. Let me go back to my chart for a second, because this is just awesome. All right, let me go back to this, go back to Ethereum, get rid of this. All right, look at this, right? So on the daily, right, let's go back a month. So that would take us out to August 3rd, right? So August 3rd, right here, we were at 2557. And 1 month later, we're at 39. So that's about 1,400. So that's a, little less than, that's about 40%, I guess. So that's a huge run in 1 month. And it's certainly leading to the run up in alts that I think we're seeing now. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is, as I mentioned before, Ethereum seems to be having days of true deflation, where enough Ethereum is being burned to cause what I would call deflationary pressure. Now, if you remember, this EIP 1559 upgrade is or has been a success as far as I can tell. And this week we had another L2 layer 2 upgrade, which I wanted to talk about. So let me get into that. So this Arbitrum, I think is how you pronounce it, Arbitrum 1, went live this week. It's now open to the public, and it's super interesting. Okay, how would I explain this? Let me think about it. All right, so if it's basically a kind of layer 2, and basically allows you to create very smooth, very fast transactions, basically in under 1 second. All right. And it uses what's called fraud proofs. I won't get into the tech there, but it submits transaction data to the Ethereum base layer. And with this upgrade, it becomes Ethereum's first optimistic rollup protocol, which is basically equipped to support smart contracts. And that's a big deal. All right. So I'll dig into the tech if you have any questions. But I think this upgrade is another really important step forward for Ethereum, and having a scaling platform that relies on the security guarantees of the Ethereum main chain rather than a side chain is to me a big deal. All right. And yeah, look, so the other thing to keep in mind is there's a lot of competition coming, right? So Solana, Avalanche, Phantom, all gaining traction at layer 1 as competing protocols. And that's going to continue to push the envelope and push the Ethereum developer community to make these modifications and improvements. And I think it's driving them. And as I've said before, when we talk about altcoins, I think the technology competition is the key here. Right? It's the technology competition that's going to move this entire crypto market forward. All right. Okay. So yeah, you can check out the Arbitrum 1 protocol, the group behind it. I just did a bring Off-Chain Labs. You can check them out online. Pretty cool project. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is a little bit of NFTs, right? So I don't know if you caught this. This was last weekend. I can't remember if it was. I think it was Sunday morning. I want to say there was this basically sale or kind of auction, if you will, of these Bored Apes. Let me show you this. This is just crazy. Let me go back here to my screen share. Oh, I am sharing my screen. So let me go over here to the Bored Apes. Okay, so if you haven't checked out their website, it's basically called the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And you go to boredapeyachtclub.com. What are Bored Apes? So these guys, gals, whoever they are, basically created this collection of these 10,000 Bored Apes. These Bored Apes are basically individual NFTs using Ethereum. Their ERC 721 contracts. They sold them at a cost of 0.08 ETH, right? So 0.08 times 4,000 is about $320 each. And some of them are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars now, as I understand it. Now, what happens is there was this second contract that you would get, which was basically some kind of mutant gene. Okay, and you combine the two and you get the pictures of the Bored Ape morphing into the mutant ape that you see on the right. And if you're following me on Twitter, you probably saw that I posted a bunch of these. And unfortunately, I wanted to buy some and I didn't because I was out and about and wasn't able to get in on the auction, mostly because it was fun. I didn't know that these things were going to go up the way they were in price. So this is a really cool application of Abra because you can buy your Ethereum on Abra and then use that Ethereum to take part in these auctions and places like OpenSea and other NFT auction sites, right? So we'll talk more about we'll talk more about NFTs as we go. I think this market is here to stay. I am super bullish on the NFT space. I'm spending a little bit of time getting to know what's going on with artists. There's one called the Brot chain, BROT chain, which is fractal images, which is pretty cool. If you check out their artwork, also sold on, I believe, on OpenSea. And so there's some others that I'm looking at. Again, I simply buy some Ethereum on Abra, and I use that to invest in a little bit of these art NFTs. I really enjoy it, and I hope the space takes off. And look, I hope it creates a really interesting market for artists over time who are looking to advertise and support themselves in their work and make money for themselves, right? So, all right, so that's what's happening in the NFT world. So we've got some questions being teed up. The other thing I wanted to remind you of, we'll send out an email, I think, on this next week. But if you haven't upgraded to two-factor authentication, you should do that right away in the Abra app. I'll give you a demo of that very soon. I should also mention on Cardano. We are adding Cardano to Abra Earn. We have a few users testing it right now, and it should be going live. We have the Labor Day weekend here, so it'll be live soon after that. So if you want to start depositing your Cardano into Abra to earn yield, you deposit it directly into your trading account, and then you can move it over to Abra Earn as soon as it's live. Okay. All right. So let's see. We talked about Bitcoin structure. We talked about Ethereum. So we forgot. Let me stop this. So I did a pretty fun interview with Preston Pish. He's a great guy. I don't do a lot of these right now because I try to keep them a little bit different. He and I went in a very different direction. It's one of the more fun interviews I've done lately. So if you don't follow Preston, you can see the link on my Twitter feed. I think that was a fun interview you might want to check out. We talked a little bit about where the markets are going in general, SEC oversight, what it means for DeFi, my thoughts on smart contracts, and a bunch of other topics related to crypto, where I think Bitcoin's going, where I think stablecoins are going in the stablecoin markets, and a bunch of other interesting crypto topics. Okay, so check out Preston on Twitter. Interesting announcement from Twitter, speaking of Twitter, that they're actually testing a Lightning-based payment solution. As a reminder, Lightning is a layer 2 solution for scaling Bitcoin. So you can do very small payments using Bitcoin without paying large network or mining fees. And it's live now. I've been testing it. If you don't have a Lightning wallet, there's plenty to download from the app stores. It looks like the idea here is that they're going to support micropayments, super follows, maybe subscriptions. I'm not very bullish on micropayments. People have tried micropayments on the internet for 20 years, but subscriptions are interesting. So if you know people, for example, who have newsletters on Substack or Rave, I think it's called, which I think Twitter bought, you can see why that would be an interesting move for them, because now you could do global subscriptions and not have to worry about credit card payments for small dollar subscription. So I'm a little bit more bullish on the subscription model than the micro payment model. But look, I think Twitter getting into this space is a big deal. I think putting anybody who puts Bitcoin to work in Lightning channels is simply creating not only more liquidity for Bitcoin, but driving the price up, because that Bitcoin is being put to work in a way where it's not being used for other things. Okay. Let's see. I forgot to mention this other interesting development on the NFT space. So as the prices of NFTs are going up, because they're individual art objects, unlike Ethereum, which you can buy, 0.000001 Ethereum, you can't buy 0.0001 of an NFT. Well, at least not until now. So some clever bloke basically took their own NFT, right, and put it in a vault, and then fractionalized this one NFT that was worth like $11 million into like over 10 billion little tiny tokens, right? So it was basically an NFT of the Kabosu, which was the I guess the dog that inspired Doge, if I remember correctly. I may have that wrong, so I'm sure someone will correct me in the show notes. But these new ERC20 tokens are called Dog, right? And they sold 20% of these tokens to the public, which raised 11,000 Ethereum, which actually caused the underlying NFT. Remember, this was based upon that one NFT, which was then broken up. It went from like 10 or 11 million in value to over 30 million by breaking it up into little pieces of Ethereum tokens, which is just brilliant. Okay, so I think we're going to see an infinite number of combinations of these different things happening in the coming weeks. And if you're not paying attention to what's happening in the NFT market, you're just really missing out. All right. Let me get to a couple of questions. We also have our support team online. So if you have a very kind of support specific question to your wallet, they will be able to help you directly. Todd was asking about corporate accounts. Todd, we do support corporate accounts at Abra. So if you're going to use a personal account, you can set up the normal personal account from your Abra app. If you want to use a corporate account, just send an email into support, or we can post the email here, and you can get a business account set up, and you can wire in money from your business account to make your purchases, use Abra Earn for your company, et cetera, et cetera. So we have both personal and business. Right. Let's see. Yeah, Smithy. Yep. ADA on Earn is coming. So thanks for your support there. Really appreciate it. I know a lot of you have been moving from other services lately into Abra, and we totally appreciate the support. Let's see. Hiram asks if we support Spanish. So Hiram, not yet. You can probably do your support tickets to support@abra.com in Spanish, and usually we're able to process them, and we'll figure it out and help you. Look for future releases of the app in Spanish as well. A couple of shout outs here for Rick Astley. Right on. I don't even know if everybody knows who Rick Astley is today. I mean, I guess it's a meme thing on like TikTok. So I guess the younger generation maybe does. I can't even remember I know the Never Gonna Give You Up song, but I don't know anything else about him, honestly. Let's see. Yeah, so if you want to post a ticket number here, if you're having problems and if the ticket is older, that's totally fine. The support team will definitely get to it. Oh yeah, so every week we get these questions about listings of new tokens. And let me just be clear, right? So we don't pre-announce listings. There's a function in the app. I'll bring up the app in a second, where where you can basically recommend a token to Abra, and we'll take it on advice, and I'll show you that. But in general, we can't and we won't pre-announce token listings. Okay, so here is my app. Let me, hopefully Mr. Wizard want to bring it up on the screen. What I will do is I'll go to the add function here at the top, and you can search by name, right? So let's say I want to add Solana. I know we don't have Solana yet, right? And I search. I can't find what I'm looking for, so I press that and I type in Solana. And now I've sent a request to Abra that I would like to have Solana in the app. So we do take that into account in our research and deciding what new tokens to list. So please send us those recommendations. I promised you I would show you how to add 2FA support to the app. You need to upgrade and update to the latest version of the app. After you do that, you see the menu in the upper left. We call it the hamburger menu. It looks like a hamburger. You press the hamburger. You see where it says wallet security, which is about 5 lines down. You press wallet security and you press two-factor authentication, which is often referred to as 2FA for two-factor authentication. Now, to do this, you need to have a 2FA app installed. I strongly recommend you do this on another device, either another laptop, another phone. A little bit defeatist if you have it on the same device. And so the two-factor authentication app I use is called Authy, A-U-T-H-Y. You can use Google Authenticator. I think Microsoft has one as well, all in the App Store, right? So you can just search to figure out your favorite authenticator app. Again, I recommend Authy. I like it because it encrypts the information and backs it up to the cloud so that if you lose your device, you can reinstall it on a new device. Okay, so yeah, and I'm not going to turn it off and on because it will show you my personal details. You toggle it on, it syncs via QR code with your other device, and you're off to the races. Okay, so that's two-factor authentication, right? I had a question earlier. I don't remember who asked it. I apologize. I don't have it in front of me. Somebody asked about how deposits work. Where does the money actually go? So let me explain what's happening when you do a deposit, okay? Abra is a custodial service. That means that our regulated, licensed partners are holding your crypto and your stable coins, okay? In the case of Abra Earn, right, let me go to my demo account here, you're getting an account with Prime Trust. Our demo account has a big balance, that's nice. And our Abra Trade account is custodied at a company called Bittrex. Again, both licensed entities. Now, when you make a deposit, right, let's say that your intent is to deposit stablecoins, USDC, into Abra Earn, right? You're going to go, even though you're at Abra Trade, you're going to click on Add Money, and you're going to deposit cryptocurrency. That crypto is, or that stablecoin or crypto, whatever it is going to land in your Abra Trade account. Then you move that crypto over by going into Earn, right, and clicking on Transfer at the top. Click on Transfer. I'm going to choose whatever it is I want to move. So let's say I want to move, I don't have any USDC, but let's say I have true USD that I want to move over. Let's say I'm going to move $25 over, right? I click on Review. I click on Confirm. I've now moved that from my trading account to my Abra Earn account so that I can earn the interest. And when I want to transfer it out, I simply click on Withdraw and I choose, let's say, True USD. I click on $50 and that moves the True USD from Abra Earn back to my trading account. Legally, these are different accounts, even though they're inside the Abra app. That's why you're moving them back and forth. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's the question about deposits. If you deposit via your bank account, today that money is converted to what we call True USD, which is a stable coin. And from there, you can trade it. You can move it to earning interest in Abra Earn. You can wire it out. You can send it to another person, basically whatever you want to do. Okay. But everything is stored as True USD if you deposit via bank account. If you want to go back to your bank account in any country that we support bank accounts, well, we support wires pretty much everywhere in the world, but you have to move the currency to True USD first So let's say you're in Bitcoin and you want to move the Bitcoin to your bank account, right? You would exchange the Bitcoin, go back to Abra Trade, you would exchange the Bitcoin to True USD and then withdraw the True USD via bank wire to your bank account. So to withdraw, you basically click on the withdraw button, bank wire transfer, you type in your bank details one time because it'll save the bank details here for you, and the money will go out to your bank account. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Looks like we've got a little bit of a pullback. Let me go to the daily chart here. A little bit of a pullback in Bitcoin, stabilizing near the highs. So we had a high of 50,840, and we're right at about 50,600 right now. So very tiny consolidation happening. Looks like it wants to go higher. Pretty cool. All right. Gilbert says add BNB and Solana. So Gilbert, thank you for the feedback. Again, go to the add function, type in BNB and Solana so that we can add that to the feedback that we collect from our users. Country check, I'm seeing people here from Guatemala, I saw Ethiopia, I saw Philippines, I saw the US. I'm seeing different cities in the US. I saw somebody from France and Germany on Twitter earlier. So keep teeing up the questions. Again, if you have an open support ticket, we can try to help you here. There are people from support online. Any news on XRP, Timothy asks. So Timothy, I know that the court case with Ripple is ongoing, and I am fairly certain until that court case resolves itself in some clear fashion that we're not going to see XRP listed in the US. I think that's a mistake. It's not up to me. Our custody and liquidity partners don't support it in the US. We're still live outside the US, but not in the US. I don't think XRP is a security, but obviously, they don't agree. So hopefully that will change soon. Somebody asked if I have spent any time on Endor, not the planet, but on the token. So not really. I mean, I've talked about it a little bit here. I think the tech is interesting, but I don't have a strong opinion on XRP right now. I'm sorry, on Endor right now. It's been a while since I bought any, but let me check on the price here. So how we're doing with Endor. So if I go to the monthly chart in the Abra app, yeah, it's up a solid, kind of 90% over the last month. So it's basically looks like it's riding the altcoin wave right now. But I don't have a strong opinion on on any. I haven't heard any news. So if anybody wants to reference some news on Endor, I'd be happy to look into it. All right. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So a lot more questions here. Yeah. How do you determine what tokens you list on Abra? So that's a fair question. Let me stop the share here for a second. So when we list a token on Abra, it usually is because one, it's highly liquid, which means that it's trading a fair amount, that our partners that manage custody as well as trading also support the token. And usually we go through a little bit of regulatory review to make sure that we're clear that there's no securities involved here. And then if it passes all that muster, we'll list the token. So that's the process, and it can take a while. We can't just do it overnight since we work with regulated custodians. But invariably, if it's a popular token that's pretty liquid, we will get to it in short orders. Okay. It is possible. Cheryl asks if the 0% lending option is not available in Minnesota, where she is. That's a great question. I I am not aware of the answer to that. Let me ask my support team here if they can find out. It's possible that it's not available there. Let me check. So what Cheryl is talking about is if you, I'm going to bring up the app for a second. If I click on borrow at the bottom of the screen, I can actually borrow against my Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? That's one of the most important features and services we offer. So if I click on apply, right, I can borrow, let's say USDC. I'm going to borrow $20,000, right? Now, I choose the term. I'm going to use Bitcoin as my collateral for the loan, and I have a 0% interest option. Super cool. So Cheryl, I would say two things. One, make sure you're upgraded to the latest version of the app via the App Store, and I'll check with the team to see if we have any update on why you're not seeing that in Minnesota. My understanding is that shouldn't be a problem anywhere where we offer the lending product, but I will double check that for you. You might want to upgrade to the latest version. Okay, I'm going to back out of here. I will go back to the trading. If you have any other questions, look, this lending is super cool. If you've got a bunch of gains, for example, on Bitcoin and Ethereum, you want to tap those gains, but you want to get the upside still, you can continue to hold the Bitcoin and Ethereum. You simply stake it as collateral in Abra Borrow, and you can borrow up to the LTV, the loan to value ratio you choose. So you can borrow usually up to about half of the value. Ralph asks, oh, wow, you used to work at the CIA. How did you end up with Abra? Yeah, I did. I was basically a kid. I've talked about it on many a podcast. So you can go and check it out online. There's so many talks I've given. But I'll give you a little bit of the history of the journey of Abra. So I used to run a company, well, a bunch of companies. I was at Netscape in the mid '90s, and then after I worked at Goldman in capital markets and fixed income, and after that I started a bunch of companies. And about 15 years ago, I started a company that was in the remittance space, maybe a little less than 15 years ago. And we were working in the likes of Mexico and the Philippines and Haiti. We had a foundation in Haiti that was working there after the earthquake, not the current one, but the big one from 12, 13 years ago, whenever it was. And so this really gave me a good understanding of how banking in frontier markets works, and how people are shut out of the traditional financial system, how being a cash consumer eats into your savings, right? And so I wanted to start a banking service that addressed these problems. And it was very difficult because remittance companies like Western Union still use the traditional banking system. So I had this idea that maybe Bitcoin could be used, after Bitcoin came out, of course, that Bitcoin could be used to solve some of these banking problems. And that led to the ideas for Abra. And I think at some point you're going to see us do a lot more in that money transfer space, right? So we've got our trading capabilities, our savings capabilities, our lending capabilities, and of course all roads should eventually lead to payment capabilities if you're going to be a banking service. And so as we evolve, I think you'll see more and more. But as I said, I've told the story a lot in more detail on a few podcasts, so you can check those out. And but yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey to get to Abra. So let's see. So more questions here. So somebody's asking about how taxes work. So if you're new to crypto, and I'll give you the US answer. It's pretty similar in other countries. The US government considers Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies property. And when you sell property, you have capital gains taxes, okay? And you have tax obligations depending upon your individual scenario. And you need to know the cost basis for what you paid and for the crypto, and you need to know what you sold it for. And Abra gives you the transaction history in the app. If you go to the app and you click on the Abra logo at the top, you actually have a complete transaction history, and you can export that transaction history to your email address, and then you'll be able to use that for your taxes. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So again, my personal views on the Endor protocol. Hmm. Um, yeah, I think look, it's definitely the idea of this it basically uses AI to power prediction markets. It's a very interesting idea. I have not seen any kind of significant applications of it yet, but the idea is super interesting to me. There's this, what do they call it? AI consortium out of MIT that is basically behind this, is my understanding. This guy, Sandy, who's pretty well known at the Media Lab, and a couple of others. So look, there's clearly a lot of brain power behind this thing. I have not seen any news lately, but yeah, and it's actually been a while since I've heard any news out of this. But maybe maybe there's other stuff going on that I haven't heard about. Okay, let's see. Demarius asks, how long does the verification process take? I assume you're referring to the Prime Trust verification process or the KYC process. KYC is know your customer. It's the letters, the acronym we use to say you got to upload your ID and register, et cetera, et cetera. For about 90% of our customers, that process is almost instant, meaning like less than like 2 minutes. You upload the ID and it basically processes right there in front of you in real time. For a small percentage of you, that process might take a few hours or even a day. If you're waiting for more than a day, you should definitely contact support. It's possible that they sent you an email requesting information that may have actually gone to spam folder, for example. So you might want to also check junk mail and spam folders for emails from Abra support, and make sure that if they followed up requesting more information, that you can actually see the email. All right. Yeah, so Abra support did respond, Cheryl, saying you should be seeing that 0% interest option. So confirm that you've updated to the latest version of the app, and then send an email to support, or you can respond to them here with your ticket number, and they'll certainly look into it for you. Dave asks an excellent question that I get a lot. What is the difference between different stable coins like TrueUSD, USDC? I should also mention that Paxos just renamed the Paxos dollar, or Pax, whatever they were calling it, to USDP, right? So similar to USDC, but now we're going to have USDP for Paxos. And that rebranding will happen at some point in the near future in the Abra app. So most of these stable coins are what we call ERC20 tokens, which is an Ethereum smart contract standard. So in English, that means that there's a bunch of money in a bank account that is basically a big bank account from all users of any one stablecoin. So in the case of USDC, this company Circle puts all the money in a single bank account, right, via a licensed banking entity, and then they issue smart contracts equal to whatever amount of stablecoin you're holding. So if you're holding $10 worth of Ethereum, you have $10 worth of ERC20 tokens for this USDC token. Hopefully that makes sense. That maps back to that bank account. Now, really important here is that we know that if there's, let's say, $50 billion worth of USDC out there, or true USD out there, that there really is $50 billion in the bank. And when you have US regulated entities issuing these stablecoins like Circle, like Trust Token, like Paxos based in New York, they have to go through audits to verify that they're holding cash and maybe US treasuries that equal that $50 billion in my example. All right. So TrueUSD, USDC, USDP, they're all just competing companies trying to become the biggest stablecoin out there, the default stablecoin out there. USDC is the biggest of the US companies. Tether is still the biggest in the world. USDT, it's not US based. It's generally very popular on non-US exchanges. US exchanges in particular are ballooning with USDC support. because it seems to have more regulatory clarity in the United States. But Abra supports all of them. You can deposit Tether, USDC, TrueUSD, Paxos, or now called USDP, et cetera, et cetera. And we'll see which one wins. Maybe I think there'll be multiple winners, not only in dollars, but there's now, obviously stable coins in non-dollar currency as well. Let's see, what makes coins and tokens go up and down? Coins don't report earnings. So Mac, the coins are not securities, right? Or at least the ones that are on Abra are not securities. They're tokens or commodities that have some type of utility or act as a form of money themselves. Okay, so it's the markets that make them go up and down. Supply and demand, often some kind of technicals. Often there's large traders that are using leverage that can make markets go up or down quickly, perhaps in crypto more than in other markets as well. All right. Yes, Diego asks, is Abra earn interest paid weekly? Yes, it is. So let me explain how that works. So when you transfer money, I'll go back to the Abra app here, from going to stop and restart because I'm not sure what you're seeing. So let me share the app. Okay, so when you're in, I don't know, oh, there it is. Okay, so if you're in the Abra app and you want to add money to Abra Earn, you go to Earn at the bottom, you click on Transfer at the top, you transfer your Bitcoin, right? So I'm going to transfer 0.001 Bitcoin into Abra Earn, and I've just moved, let's see, so at 50,000, 5,000, that's about $50 that I just moved worth of Bitcoin into Abra Earn. Okay, now effectively tomorrow I start earning interest, and then on every Monday morning Pacific time, I usually get the push notifications at around 9 a.m. Pacific, San Francisco time on Mondays, that I've received interest on whatever I'm holding in my Abra app. Obviously, this is a demo version, but whatever I'm holding in my Abra app, I get a push message for. Okay, and the interest is accrued daily, so you can keep making deposits, and it keeps accruing daily, but it's paid on Mondays. Okay. Can Abra support send instructions on how to upgrade the Abra app and do two-factor authentication? Mike, yes, we will be sending an email to everyone who is registered for Abra emails. So if you're not, make sure you register your email and sign up for Abra emails, marketing emails, and we will be sending you an email, I believe, next week on how to set up two-factor authentication. To upgrade the app, you have to go to the App Store. So if you have an Android phone, you go to the Google Play Store. If you have an iPhone, you go to the App Store, you upgrade the app, you go into wallet security, right? So go to the settings menu. It's the fifth item down, wallet security. You go to two-factor authentication. Now, you only need two-factor authentication for withdrawals, right? To trade, and to send money or send crypto, right? To deposit and to trade, you don't need two-factor authentication, right? Because nobody would be stealing anything. All right. So for now, it's just for withdrawals, and because that's what you're trying to protect. So hopefully that makes sense. But we will send out an email on that. It's very important, right? Because if somebody steals your phone, there is a PIN code in the app, but obviously you want the two-factor authentication to protect you. Elmer, I have no opinion on Endor prices, so I won't be able to give any more feedback there. I'll look at it for next week maybe, but I have not looked at Endor in any amount of detail enough to have an opinion on price. Let's see. Thank you for all that you and the Abra team do. Well, you're very welcome. That's why we're here. Are coins purchased automatically placed in our wallets? Mac, yes, they are. So when you're in the Abra trade and you convert dollars into Bitcoin or Bitcoin into Ethereum, they're in a wallet that our partner custodies for you. They're not on the phone. Let me be clear. The coins are not on the phone. The phone is just an interface into your trading account or into your Abra Earn account. When you move crypto into Abra Earn, you're moving the crypto to our custodian at Prime Trust, and then Abra is working with Prime Trust to generate that yield that you earn on the crypto. And we do that by entering into collateralized lending agreements with both consumers as well as institutions. And I've talked about that many times in the past. That's how I hold my crypto. I leave it in Abra Earn to earn the interest. Okay. Danny asks, is there any way to change the 13 words? Danny, there is not. Once you have a wallet on your phone, it's on your phone. The backup phrase is the backup phrase. Okay. Catherine asks, are we going to the LA blockchain conference? Catherine, not only are we going, I will be doing a keynote, and Abra is the title sponsor for the event. So we've got big things planned for the LA conference. I'm actually in LA right now. I'm not at home up in the Bay Area. And I am super excited about the LA conference. This is one of our biggest events for Abra in a long time. We've got a huge announcement coming at the event, and I'm really excited about it. So if you're in LA or have any way to get to LA and you've been vaccinated and you're comfortable traveling, you definitely want to be at the LA blockchain conference. My understanding is everything will be live streamed virtually for those of you outside the US. Super excited about the LA blockchain conference. Big shout outs to Alon and Joseph and the team over there. We love those guys. They've been friends for years, and I'm really excited that Abra is going to be supporting the event. All right. Okay, the messages are coming in fast and furious now. Let's see. Pick and choose a few. Yeah. Do I think Elon is Satoshi? No, I don't think Elon is Satoshi. Let's see. Mongo asks, any estimation on borrow in California? I see support already responded. I'd love to say that we knew when, but rest assured it is being worked on. I live in California and I want it turned on. So we will definitely get it live. And can we add decentralized stablecoins like DAI in Abra Earn? That's a good question. So we haven't seen a lot of demand for that. A few of you asked this. I see Saminami asked, and I think somebody asked earlier. We haven't seen a lot of demand for it, but let me take the advice and discuss it again with the team. And if we think that there's enough demand, we'll go ahead and add those coins. But my understanding is until now, we have not had a lot of demand for that, at least compared to USDC and others. But if there is, I'm very happy to do it. Okay. Let's see. So we're coming up. Geez, I can't. This hour flies by. Those of you who stick it out for, I'll turn the share off for a second. Those of you who stick it out for the hour, I don't know about you, but I start with my charts, I start with my commentary, and the next thing I know, I look up and it's been an hour. How does that happen? It's crazy. Anyway, so Nicholas asks, what's the largest account size in Abra currently? Nicholas, really good question. We have users with over $1 million in their Abra wallet. In Abra Earn, you see the demo account I have here. I think we have users with over $10 million in their Abra wallet. So we have users with $5 in Abra wallet, and we have users with 10 million. We have, I've personally met poor farmers, very poor farmers in the Philippines. I know some of you are from the Philippines, and you know that you have these remote parts of the country. And I've met people there using Abra. They walk into a teller with cash and they deposit money into Abra and they put it in Abra Earn to earn interest for their family, or buy Bitcoin because they think that's the future and they'd rather hold that than pesos. We have wealthy CIOs, chief investment officers at funds using Abra, the same exact app globally. It's the same app. I've never seen anything like it. It's one of the things I'm most proud of that our team has accomplished, is that we have this app that is being used by every socioeconomic class in the world for the same reasons. I believe in Bitcoin and Ethereum as the future. I'm interested in some of the technology and the altcoins. I love Abra Earn. I want to earn interest on my Bitcoin, my Ethereum, my dollars. Or maybe I'm in another country and I'd rather hold dollars and earn interest on them. right? So we have a lot of customers, for example, in places like Argentina and Guatemala, where they love holding money in dollars. And I want to be able to borrow against that cryptocurrency. But it's the same story, whether it's the user holding $1 million or the user holding $100, right? Everybody wants the same thing. You want economic freedom and flexibility to live your life on your terms the way you want. And I'm super proud that Abra is able to bring that to hopefully every corner of the planet. Now, obviously, there's places that the government prohibits us from doing business in, like Iran and North Korea. I hope that changes too eventually, right? Obviously, we follow the law. I don't agree with sanctions laws because they end up hurting people more than governments, but I get it, right? And so, other than that, same app everywhere. It's awesome. Time flies when you're making money. Yes, it does. And look, we bring you the show even in down markets, right? It's not just about the price, and we call it like we see it, right? Mike asks, is there a cannabis coin? I think there is. I don't think we list one, but if you just search Google for cannabis crypto, I'm guessing you'll find more than one. Just can't get over that hump. As a civil engineer, we love Abra. I'm also a reformed engineer, I suppose you'd say. Wow. Ralph says, Abra is so easy. I was able to get my 75-year-old mom to use it. Well, that's awesome. My mom loves Abra, and I don't know if she's watching today. She does watch on occasion. And Smithy says, your money is safer in Abra than any FDIC bank. Now, this is an interesting point, Michelle. So I talked about this on Preston's podcast, the Investor Network podcast. And again, I can't recommend Preston enough. He's awesome. So my opinion is if you're holding money in a stable coin and you put that stable coin in Abra Earn, especially if it's more than $250,000, it's actually safer than in an FDIC insured bank account, in my opinion. This is just my personal opinion for a couple of reasons. One, FDIC only insures accounts up to a certain threshold. Two, banks can actually lend more money than what they take in. It's called fractional reserve banking, right? However, with stablecoin deposits, they can't do that. Those accounts are required to maintain 100% reserves. So in my opinion, those accounts are even safer than a traditional bank account, right? That's part of why I think that we're going to see private companies become the basis for the future of money issuance and what's called seigniorage. There's this concept in banking of seigniorage, which is the idea of creating money from nothing. That's how your money gets created. It's seigniorage. And the government actually makes money on the process of creating money, right? Topic for another time. But I'm giving you way more information than your question, but I actually think that Michelle is right. And for many people, I feel way more comfortable with my cash in Abra Earn than I do in a bank account. It's not, FDIC insurance is not really relevant here for a lot of reasons, right? Again, the bank has to maintain 100% reserves. They're not doing fractional reserve banking. If you're a US-based stablecoin like USDC, USDP, Paxos, TrueUSD, they're not doing fractional reserve banking. So in my opinion, the money's safer, right? And the processes that I know the processes we use to generate the yield because I helped approve and create them. And I sit on the committee that reviews them every week. And that's why I keep a lot of, or actually almost all my liquid cash in Abra Earn. Okay. Let's see, maybe one more comment. We're coming up on the hour. What do I think will happen to the crypto markets when countries make their own digital currencies like the China's digital yuan? Honestly, I think nothing's going to happen because it doesn't prevent these governments from printing more money. They're just going to print digital versions of it instead of paper versions. And, they're just going to have a direct line to the people. Now, in the case of China, they're going to use it as a surveillance tool, meaning they're going to know everything you do, every place you spend money, every time you receive money, they're going to know. And I don't like that. All right. One of the reasons I'm interested in private stable coins is this idea that we can have, technologies like the one behind Monero and Zcash potentially integrated into our digital stablecoins. Now, that's very appealing to me because that preserves the privacy nature of the dollar as a bearer instrument. Other than that, I don't think anything's going to change. Okay. All right. So we're coming up on the hour. It is Labor Day weekend in the United States. This is kind of the end of the proverbial end of summer, not calendar start of fall, but like everybody's kind of back from vacation, back to work, back to school. It's that last big hurrah, barbecues. And in California, it's tough. In Northern California, the air has been not so great. It's actually beautiful down here in LA today. But wherever you are, especially those of you celebrating Labor Day weekend, I wish you a happy, healthy family weekend. And keep the questions coming. We have the dialogues open on Twitter and Facebook, links to the YouTube. So we'll keep answering your questions there. You can find me, as always, on Twitter at Bill Barheit, and Abra Global is where Abra is on Twitter. And we will see you next week on Money Talks. Take care, everyone.